up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel.
So we are on our way to go take a look at a prospective vehicle, which may or may not be our first supercar purchase ever.
So as you guys may or may not know, we mentioned it in a couple of videos so far on the channel, HP and I are looking to buy our very first supercar. We have been driving really cheap, paid off cars for the vast majority of our life. HP had a Focus ST. I've been driving my 97 4Runner since I was basically 16, and it's time to upgrade because the whole point of us buying paid off cars for the last 10 years has been with the hope of being able to buy something nicer, and that day of buying something nicer is quickly approaching.
So if you saw the previous video, we took a look at a lot of different brands, and we even narrowed it down finally to a few parameters. First off, the vehicle has to be a two-door, and it has to be a two-seater with those two doors, not 4 seats in a two-door vehicle. We want a dedicated sports car, no babies or nieces in the back seat whatsoever. The second thing is that it's got to be a supercar, and most things about supercars is that they have a lot of cylinders. So we're looking at 8 cylinders or more, no V6 or hybrid electric powertrains for this supercar. It has to be high horsepower, so that's another parameter. The third thing we're going to be taking a look at is, quite frankly, the appeal of it. It has to look like a supercar, which is typically a lowered or a longer looking roadster of a vehicle, and it can't just look like an everyday middle of the mall car. So these are the new updated parameters for what we're looking at. We're actually going to a exotic specific supercar dealership in Addison, and we're really excited. We booked this appointment yesterday, and this is one of those vehicles that definitely we're really excited just to even look at to begin with.
Now, even if HP and I fall in love with this car, and to be honest, it's HP's car, so the only person that has to fall in love with it is him, but even if he falls in love with this car, we're still not going to buy it today. The goal is to buy or really start honing in on the specific car we want to buy this quarter, in the first quarter of 2022. That way, whenever we find the right car, we're able to pull the trigger, and we have the knowledge that we need in order to spot a good deal, in order to find the car we want. So we're still in the research and discovery phase, but this will go a long way in trying to let HP figure out which car he wants.
Now, typically, being a prior salesman, I would say no, we shouldn't waste anybody's time, but truth be told, we're not wasting time. This dealership specializes in exotic cars, and cars come and go. So this particular vehicle we're going to look at, though it is fairly common, it is actually rare, and they do pop up in the market from time to time, especially in DFW, which I'm very thankful for living in such a big metroplex, because this car is definitely for this type of area.
I actually disagree with you, HP. I don't think that they're that common. I mean, we've been looking for this specific type of car. There's like a handful of cars that we've been looking at, but this one has been on our radar since like March.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many are there across the entire country? Like 15? And like how many of those are in our price range? Like 6.
There's like 200 of the older, and I think there's about like 400 or 300 for the others. So they are finite, but I think that any exotic dealership definitely wants this specific type of car versus the base model variation. Would you agree?
Yeah. No, I'd agree. But I agree with what you're saying, but I disagree with the statement that they aren't rare, because I think that they are. Turo's calling me.
Ooh, it's about time.
This is Aubrey. Yes. Yeah, it's my Ford Escape doesn't have any like conflicts, so that one would be available until she like to match her original reservation. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Bye. Of course. Oh, she goes, "Hi, I'm just leaving the hospital. I'm checking out now, then headed to drop off the car. Sorry for the inconvenience."
If I had $1 for every time somebody died or was in the hospital or my phone was locked out or something. Yeah.
So that was just Turo. We actually had to call a car that was supposed to get returned at 10 o'clock this morning. It was going out on another reservation at 2 p.m. It's currently 1:40 and the car still isn't returned and the guest was unresponsive. So we had to go through the process of reporting the car as not returned, and then we had to do a vehicle swap. It's a big pain. I feel like we've gotten pretty good at going through the procedure, but it's a time-intensive thing. So they were calling us to give us, like, to basically get our consent to swap out the car, and then right whenever I hang up, the guest that didn't return the car has messaged us saying she was in the hospital, which to HP's comment, that's always the comment. Always. Death, hospital, illness. Oh, and I spy a Lamborghini Urus, also known as an Audi Q7. I think this is the largest fleet of exotic cars I've ever seen in person.
Yeah. I think like the cheapest car up here is like a Bentley.
Is this car?
This car. Well, we're looking at a Gallardo Superleggera. And it is beautiful. It doesn't have the carbon fiber pack, which I'm kind of upset about.
So owners of Hyundai Accents don't let us drive by ourselves, but the dealership with a Lamborghini does.
Isn't that funny how that works?
Good to know.
Yeah. I love the visibility. It's terrible. You get a small sliver in the back. Well, what do you think? Pretty nice?
I mean, I love it, but I tend to be less picky about cars than you do, so. And it's your car, so. The real question is, how do you like it?
So driving it definitely is a little rough. I mean, you definitely feel every bit of bump in the road, but I mean, it's pretty glued down. The steering is very stiff, and I love that about this car too. It definitely feels like you're driving a supercar, because it is a supercar, dedicated. A lot of Alcantara suede, and this car is immaculate condition on the inside. I'm actually very impressed with this year model. I thought I wasn't going to like it near as much, but in between this year model and the previous year models, not a lot has really changed all that much.
What do you think?
I like it. I like it a lot. The color's nice too. All right, now let's see what you think.
It's definitely more jerky than I would have anticipated, and it's like, I guess I've never driven like a car like this. It's always like luxury, and so I'm kind of surprised at how stiff the steering wheel is.
I think that's kind of the beauty of having a sports car like this, or a supercar like this, is that it's the combination of both ultra fine luxury and, you know, the sports car. Yeah, the brakes are, the carbon ceramics are really touchy when cold.
They're scary. So HP, what are your thoughts?
Definitely a huge contender. I think I was happy that we saw this particular year model, because now I know that there's not that much difference between that year model and the later LP models for the Lamborghini. So I think this is definitely going to be a top contender as far as our next supercar.
So whenever it comes to the Lamborghini or supercar purchase, whatever car we're gonna end up getting, there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that I've been really intimidated with, I think, over the last couple of months. And the biggest one is the financing aspect. HP and I have never financed really anything significant, at least with cars. Like, I've taken out a business loan, we have a house, and so there's other aspects and other things we financed, but not a car specifically. HP's biggest finance was your ST, which was what, 25,000?
24, yeah, if that.
And now the Lamborghini, and now the Maserati, which was $30,000. And then the only car I've ever financed was my Camaro, which I got when I was 18 years old, which has since been sold, but I think that was like $25,000 as well. So there's something called similar, what's it called? Similar auto loan history.
It's like black auto history or something like that.
And it's basically the bank's way of saying, okay, has this person gotten a auto loan for something similar to this? And in the case of a supercar, we haven't. So that's going to be a pretty big uphill battle for us, and it's really going to be a huge factor in dictating which car not only we want to choose, but also which one we can choose.
And this is something that I've kind of found in my experience working at car dealerships, is that more often than not, this is actually a pretty big, I'd say, a hurdle for a lot of people buying an expensive car. I used to have a lot of people come in and try to buy a $100,000 Navigator. They'd make $1 million a year and have millions of dollars in assets, but banks often kind of made them do little extra jumps and hoops in order to kind of either prove that or even just paying a little more of the loan up front. So this is going to be something that we're going to have to take a look at, and definitely have to do a lot of research, because this isn't just like going in and buying a $30,000 Focus or a Maserati. This is definitely something that's going to be
different animal.
Different animal.
And it will be a huge factor in dictating how we move forward. Of course, the used car market will also dictate it. For example, Lamborghinis have appreciated by about 20% this year, so we're not wanting to pay a 20% inflated price on a car. So there's still a lot of research that we have to do. But HP, like the car, dislike the car?
I liked it. I actually liked it quite a lot. I'd probably go so far as to say that this is definitely in the top 3 in the supercar decision making. So guys, as always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you have maybe a honorable mention for the other 2 cars that I might have to put in the running up, let us know. And we'll see you on the next episode.